Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Rao coming to you at 7 o'clock tonight. Um, the usual room that we were doing for the last 3-4 weeks. I was talking about calming the mind with a simple breathing exercise in the morning and in the evening, and the importance of it. I hope you are all doing well and keeping up with this calming the mind exercise every day. I hope at least some of you are experimenting and trying to do something like that. And I kind of start the day with being in awareness and being in the present and doing my whole 1 hour with my students, whoever come to they sign up, and some people come, some people don't on a regular basis. But still, okay, whoever comes, in 1 or 2 people, we kind of go ahead and do that 1 hour of kind of like a exercise in awareness early in the morning. That means you are not thinking for the future and for the past, but you are stationed in the present, and you do everything in that staying in the present life. So you go to work, and again you are always in the present. Whatever you are doing, that is basically you just make sure your attention is on the whatever you're doing, not around it, not behind it, not in front of it, but whatever you are doing, you pay attention, and then you stay in that kind of state, and then do entire job or play or whatever you are doing. And then in the evening, you come back from your rat race or rumble or whatever, and then you lie down just before sleep. Also, you do this breathing exercise, which is kind of what I was talking about all the time. Hopefully, people are benefiting from it, and if anybody has any feedback, they can come up and tell me about it. If you are new to it, I will describe it pretty soon after I get some more friends here. Basically, welcome. This is Dr. House calming the mind and discussing mind matters in a much more deeper way. I'm a physician and also an informatician, and also I'm a yoga practitioner and an ancient wisdom student. I learned a lot from the ancient wisdom, which has helped me to be at the age of 68. I don't have any medications, and I have a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of energy for doing things, and I get involved in a lot of new things. I'm now very deep into artificial intelligence and its tools, and using them to help me write better, help me speak better, help me plan a lot of things better and communicate better. So I'm seeing the potentiality of this artificial intelligence tools, and then putting them to action. But also I'm aware of what are the repercussions, what are the possible side effects, what are the effects on our mind. That's also I'm investigating it. And this is not new to me, because this was discussed like 20 years ago in the philosophical talks, like what if the computer becomes so powerful that will do a lot of things that we are doing by itself? Then what are we going to do with ourselves when we are left alone like that? What are we going to do? That was the question we explored several years ago. And basically, most of the people may not know what they want to do with themselves. That is a possible scenario that came up. And then the solution was you can turn inward and then find out your real self. And you can turn inward in a meditative way. You can really know your inner thoughts, inner feelings, inner aspirations, and all those things without being moribund, without being really stuck in your self-centeredness. So we're talking about just reflecting on what our interior is, what is going on, and all that. That stage has come now. Now we can use Chat GPT to do a lot of mundane, lot of redundant, lot of boring things, and then it will do for us. Okay, right? That's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful tool. I think we can use to reach out more people, to really involved in their life, and help them to realize their own goals and for the basics of the life, like food, shelter, and clothing. But beyond that, we are always trying to uh, help people to understand themselves better, and really get rid of a lot of the stress and burnout and all that. So whatever I'm doing kind of enhanced. I've kind of There are assistants for me with Chat GPT that are doing a lot of things that I had to reach out to my virtual assistants or my own nursing staff and all of that, right? So some things humans will do, but there are a lot of mundane things that people don't have to do anymore. I think that's I think is a good development if we use it properly, right? Otherwise, it also leaves a lot of time for us to be lazy, to be entertaining ourselves, to be not looking at deeper issues of life. And those things also may continue. Some people may spoil their mind because they are so bored. They want to do some substance. That's also possible. Né? But the Chat GPT itself can be a threat for us when it thinks for us, when it does things that are not good for us, but that dictate us to do. That is one side effect people are anticipating. But like any technology, we have the good side and we have the other side too. But depends on the people, right? More than the technology, how we use it as a tool for the good or the bad. You can use the knife to cut the vegetables, or you can use the knife to hurt somebody, right? Like that. Atomic energy first broke in, then Einstein said the same thing, like, now, oh, this is going to change the world. Yeah, it did change the world. But then it also gave us electricity, nuclear based, and then it also gave us the bomb, right? And then that had destroyed so many people too. And then even now, it's taking so many resources because everybody is building piles of bombs, so destroys us several times over, and turning valuable resources, like for example, North Korea, it doesn't feed its people, but it kind of builds so many weapons, right? So everybody knows about it. So anyway, this Chat GPT or related intelligence programs will help us if we elevate it. For example, India has this highest population, I believe now. Now, how they are going to use that as an advantage, or how they are going to use it as a something that is going to be destructive, is up to them, right? They are digitally very evolved, India, right? So I hope they can use this technology to pull more of those people who are really poor and really having problems with existence. They can pull them out, and hopefully they can work out on the climate issue, contribute to that, so that the heat wave they are suffering now maybe will be lessened, right? So many things are happening with this evolution of this new technology. And like I mentioned yesterday, I was reading this book, How to Protect Our Brain or something like that. Her name is Nita Rafansky or something. And she wrote, in as much as this is a very good unfolding power, superpower, probably, the artificial intelligence and the chat GPT and all that. But it also has a side effect where it can be used against us by the governments, by the corporations, and all. Already, they are using it in China in so many ways that they are making the employees and making the drivers of companies wear some belts. That way they can read the thoughts of the person, and then the driver wearing it, they can detect if he is sleeping or whether he is going towards that state, and they can record that and they can get that all already transmitted through a Bluetooth to the watch or the phone, and then recorded in their headquarters, and then they monitor these drivers remotely, not just monitoring their physiological thing, but about monitoring their thoughts, and then controlling. Also, subliminal influence and all this much more. So these things we need to think about, not that we have to be pessimistic about it, but really look at it and see whether we need a better governance, better legislation, so that these things will not go out of whack, out of control. So that's the debate going on. And I started reading that book. I knew the substance of it, but I started to reading that book, and it is a really important book, I think. She had a chronic migraine headaches, and she used some belt around her head, where that records her thought waves, and then she was able to calm herself down, and she was able to help her chronic migraines that way. She has the feedback of the thought patterns, and she understood them, and she saw thought patterns when she was relaxing, and she increased those relaxing methods much more. That kind of thing. Okay? So, what is going on with this calming the mind is more like an important lifestyle thing, I think. We should adopt, because on one hand, we are running very fast in our minds, in our thoughts every day, because we are stimulated in so many ways, multiple ways, right? 24-hour TV, 24-hour ubiquitous cell phone, and the smartphone, right? Smartphone in the hand and all the world in the hand, and then going wherever you want. There was no time for taking a break. There was no time to put it aside and then really breathe in or just enjoy the nature or enjoy the people conversations. That used to be our lifestyle, and we were growing up. We used to have conversations with the friends, with the family, and that way our bonds have deepened. And people had sit down and read books, and that all that thing has receded somewhat with the advent of TV, and people are getting passive involvement with all these things, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So when we are exposed to that kind of atmosphere from outside, we have to be aware of what it can do to our brains and the minds, and how it can really kind of aggravate whatever tendencies we have. Our people will be triggered, and then they're going to continue thinking. The thing is, if you are working some intellectual work, and then you are doing the from morning till evening, and then you don't shut it off, you just exhausted and go to sleep, and then when you wake up, you again pick up the same thread. The thought never rests, and then it's always going around, right? That is the problem. Just examine yourself whether you are in that loop, or you are actively breaking that, not by just falling asleep and having a lot of dreams, and also waking up not really energetic, not really completely rested, but more like needing coffee, needing some stimulant to get up, and then again getting into the sea of the information. That is why I say information overload, multiple stimuli, constant stimuli, and constant distractions. That's more important element, because by design, all the advertisers, all the people, what they want your attention. So what they do, they provide distractions to whatever you are doing. Suppose you are doing something, or even if you watch a movie, lots of times the advertisements come, right? Like that. Nowadays, you can read something, but there will be 4 or 5 advertisements different. So your attraction, your attention is distraction. So the constant distractions is not good to be in concentrated, focused, and flow state. But the flow state, you are there, and then you're completely involved in your work. Then you enjoy your work, and you don't generate any kind of what do you say, stress and burnout and all that, right? So that's why you have to understand what kind of age we are in. We are in age of information. What kind of overload is happening? That's information overload. What are the consequences of that? Stress and burnout. So we don't want to leave it like that, but we should have some simple measure that is we can do without spending money or without calling the doctor or anything, just knowing the relationship of breathing and the mind activity. If you take a deep breath, your mind activity slows down. So that's why you want to start early in the morning, right after you get up. Don't open the devices, don't open the iPads or computers, whatever, and then just take deep breaths and get yourself centered in the present moment, and then carry that through the day so that you are always present in whatever you are doing. You will have a quality work, and you will enjoy the work, and also you will have less stress accumulated, because you don't allow these distractions take you away from whatever you are doing. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So what do you do in the morning? Just find a place where you can go and nobody is going to distract you, or you don't have any distractions like a smartphone or TV or music, or none of it there. But you just sit down in a chair with both your feet firmly planted on the floor, and then take deep breaths through the nose by closing the mouth. You take the deep breaths, and first what you do is when you take the deep breath, let the abdominal wall come up. You have to sit straight with the spine straight. Then when you take the deep breath, the abdominal wall comes up, and when you breathe out, the abdominal wall goes to the spine. Okay, and do that like a count of 8. And then you can really relax afterward. But there's specific things you can do too. You can be aware of the tip of the nose as you are breathing in and out, as the air comes just touches it. And then you can also say, I'm not just this body, I'm just what is beyond the body mind complex. That's a deeper meditative practice, yogic practice. I just put in there for people who are interested, they can have more questions about it. But at least sitting down, keeping the spine straight, and then keeping the both feet planted, and then doing this exercise where you don't have anything else to think about, but you tie the mind to the nose, like to the breath. If you do that in the morning, and then after you got yourself settled down in the present moment, carry that like a perfume for the entire day, and then you may want to do this repeated once in a while if you want to do the day. And then at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, that's the last thing you want to do. Again, coming back to the present moment and sleeping on that kind of rather empty, rather still mind. And then once you go into sleep like that, you will have a very deep sleep, which is regenerating your energy. It is going to restore the mind, restore the body to the healthiest state. That's the purpose of the sleep. When you want to sleep, you want to sleep completely, clean mind, and then quiet mind and calm mind. That is the purpose why I'm doing this room, and I'm answering questions around it if the people have them. So you can come up and ask me any questions if you want to. And that, otherwise, doing this, remember, first thing in the morning and also last thing before you go to sleep, and in between, whatever you want to do, you can do it. I kind of suggest some visual cues. You can put like a picture that says AIP, standing for Am I in the Present? That visual cue will bring you back to the present. Or you can put a flower next to the computer, and then looking at the flower, you can tie it to your present moment awareness, and it will come there. Okay, that kind of thing you can exercise by yourself. Okay, and then you can always see if you are supposed to have a situation where you are really enraged or triggered or activated, and you can stop without saying anything first. First, stop and take deep breaths. And then once you come to the present moment, you may look at the situation completely differently. Rather than if you react right away, you may say, you may do something that you may regret later. Okay, that's what happens to a lot of people. They react. But what I tell them is, no, respond with what is to be done. Don't respond with an emotional reaction. But not, it's not that easy. But lots of times you don't need the emotional outburst of angry or cursing or anything like that. That is not good for you. If you are angry with something or somebody, the other somebody something will not be affected by your anger, but your anger is physiologically going to affect you. That's why don't react, but respond. This deep breathing also helps you in that regard, because the deep breathing stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. By function, it is like a rest and digest system, versus the emotional reaction happening, that system is sympathetic overload, where you are really fearful, anxious, and trying to have face some stress and all that. Lots of times modern life do not have that kind of stress for which this system is reacting. Okay, like in the ancient time, the reptile brain, we call it, right? Like ancient time, we have dangers, physical dangers out there. And that's why you see a tiger, you see a snake, or you have to just get this sympathetic nervous system activated, which make your heart run faster, and then make your uh, limbs work such a way that you will take a flight, right? So that kind of fight or fright syndrome thing, right? You don't want that all the time. You want opposite, which is the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. That you can do, the vagus nerve is there, right? That you can do by taking deep, slow, sustained breathing, inhalation, exhalation. But if you want to hold in between, that's fine too. So in yoga, they are very big deal on this breathing thing, because I was talking to somebody this afternoon, my friend, and he was talking about vegetarian diet and water and all that, right? But then I told him, but beyond that, there's another system that gives you a lot of energy, and you don't have to eat that much, but you can take only a small amount of water, and that is breathing system. So this is the secret of the ancient yogis. What they did was they had this small metal thing which are called, and then they put water in it, and then they were carrying that like a flask, right? And then they were eating only once a day, that too after they are very, very hungry. So those are the two habits they have. Apart from that, they kind of allowed the system to take deep breaths as much as possible through the day. And that deep breathing, because they do it several hours, and that really nurtures them, and that enhances their metabolism, enhances their energy production, and thereby they feel very energetic by taking those breaths. That is the secret, how they eat little and how they are so energetic. Other thing is, because they're breathing deep, their thinking slowed down. And then in meditation, what they do, they try to identify the thoughts, watch the thoughts, and then go to one thought and stay with that one thought, so that all the others are gone. We have only left one thought. And then they try to transcend that thought. That means they are in the silent, still mind. And thereby, they don't have to produce so many thoughts like the modern any person does, and thoughts consume your energy. So that's another thing they are doing. They are taking deep breaths, keeping the mind under control, and not really thinking unnecessarily. Thereby, they are not wasting their energy. So remember that, understand that, and then look at in your lifestyle. How many times are you having chances of taking deep breath? For example, I told my son, suppose you are seeing a red light and you stop in your area driving alone, then just take 3 or 4 deep breaths till the light comes. Like that. Suppose you are having some telephone calls that you have to answer. Remember to do at least few times to take deep breaths and then go to the phone and then lift it up and answer it. So you can make yourself so many opportunities where you don't have to be obvious to other people, appearing like a strange thing, but you have allowed your system to take deep breaths. There is a deeper thing in this, because people cannot lift 25 pounds all of a sudden, right? So what do? We start with 2 pounds, 5 pounds, then gradually we train them to lift more weight. Just like that, deep breathing, optimal breathing does not happen just like that. People can be going along with unconscious shallow breathing, but what we are talking about is conscious deeper breath. Okay, so and then suppose you do the deeper breath for some time. Initially, you may not be able to do 8 or 9 seconds. You may do 5 seconds. That's fine. Then advance it. Then you may be do 20 seconds at a time. So your respiratory rate comes down from 16 and also maybe 4. That is what the yogic do. So you're doing so slow deep breath, your respiratory rate comes down. Instead of normal usually 12 to 16 per minute, to maybe you'll come to 10, 8 per minute. That's good enough. That also takes a lot of work. So if you are trying to deep breathe and suddenly some thought comes, then immediately this chain breaks. That's why you got to be attentive to what you're doing and really pay attention to the touch of the air at the alanase. Thereby, you can tie your mind to the nose. That's what happens. Otherwise, your mind will and then you will slip into the shallow breathing. So remember these dynamics, and then you don't have to spend any money. This is very, very easy to do and cheap. And nobody need to tell you also. Every time you talk, or every time you have phone call, every time you have a traffic light, you can have any number of cues like that. For me, in the meetings, either Clubhouse or here, I come on social audio, right? So I do that. And when other people are doing it, I can really involve, I can be listening, but at the same time, I'll be practicing deep breath, and then I don't get caught up in what they're saying all the time. But only important talks, I will be like that, right? Otherwise, I will be just listening and deep breathing. That is a chance. And then in my hospital meetings, if I'm sitting down and then everybody is talking about an issue about the hospital we have to solve, then I listen to them. Okay. And as I listen to them, I practice deep breathing. So at least few times, if not all the hour, at least few times you can do that. So find opportunities during the day, during your work, that kind of thing, and start practicing. And after a few days, I guarantee you will feel more relaxed, more responding, not reacting, and you will be energized. You will find that you are more energized, and you seem to have different perspective when you practice that. Okay, so that's what I wanted to present to you. Most of the time, it's something very simple. All good things in life are simple anyway, but it can unwind your complicated mind and really come to the present moment, then you are really living. Okay, so anybody has questions or comments, you can come up and you can talk to me about it. That way I can answer your questions. um, So I plan to do few more days of this, and then I will be stopping because I have some major projects coming up next week. So I will not be regular like this, you know. If anybody has questions in the next few days only, I'll be able to talk. After that, I will be doing random rooms like I used to do before, not like this regular. Hopefully, I can do it, but I think the projects are going to take me away from being able to stay here and not drive and all that. When I'm driving, it's really uncomfortable to talk because noise and all that there. So I hope you got to what I was talking about. Just to do this present moment breathing break. First thing after you get up in the morning, go and find a nice quiet place in your house or in your office. Always go there, the same place, same time. That would be helpful. And then once you are there, if you are doing several days, once you are there in that room, immediately all that ambience of you doing regularly will come and it will help you better, right? So place your feet on the floor, sit with your spine straight, and then close your mouth, take deep breath through the nose, and let the abdominal wall come up. And then hold it if you can, and then just let the air come out through the nose, and the abdominal wall goes to the spine. Do that like at least 5 times, and then next 5 times when you do, you feel the air touching your ala nasi, the tip of the nose. And then the last 5 breaths, you kind of think of you are not just this body and mind complex, but you are the awareness behind that. If you can coordinate that with the letting out that you are not the body and mind, and then breathing in, you kind of assert yourself that you are the awareness. So together, do this in the morning and also during the day. If you can do it, that's fine. And at the end of the night, before you go to sleep, do it one more time. If you can do it before sleep and after sleep, that way your neurological memory and your neurological sense of what you're doing will stay with you, and then you will be okay. So I hope everybody is happy with what I talked about. And there are 21 people on the. Thank you all for coming in on the Wisdom app. And I will be seeing you if anybody wants to come up. Otherwise, I will be closing the rooms now. Okay. Thank you.